Today, we're cracking open a book that pretty much changed the whole conversation around personal finance, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We're going to dive into its core, and let's be honest, often controversial, lessons about how money really works, and why it seems like the wealthy are playing a completely different game than the rest of us.
So right off the bat, the book hits you with this powerful idea that gets right to the point. What if that life script were all handed, go to school, get a good, safe job, buy a house, save up? What if that was actually a trap? Kiyosaki argues that this very path might just be designed to keep you stuck financially.
So where does this totally radical perspective even come from? Well, for Kiyosaki, it wasn't just one thing. It was his entire childhood, shaped by two very, very different father figures, and each one had a completely opposite way of looking at money. And this contrast, it's really the heart of the whole book. On one side, you've got his poor dad. That was his actual biological father. Super educated, had a PhD, but he struggled with money his entire life. Then, on the other side, there's his rich dad, his best friend's father. This guy was an 8th grade dropout who ended up becoming one of the richest men in Hawaii. The huge difference wasn't their report cards, it was their financial education.
It's this huge difference in thinking that leads us directly to the big problem Kiyosaki tries to solve in the book. It's a trap he famously calls the rat race.
So what's really powering this trap? According to Rich Dad, it's not some complicated economic formula. Nope. It all comes down to two raw, powerful human emotions that drive almost all of our decisions: fear and greed. The fear of not having enough money, and that greedy little voice that wants all the nice things money can buy. Okay, so here's how the cycle plays out. First, that fear, the fear of not paying your bills, that's what gets you to go out and get a job. Then, you get that sweet, sweet paycheck, and boom, desire kicks in. You start picturing a nicer car, a bigger house, that dream vacation. So what happens when you get a raise? Well, your spending just magically expands to eat up that new income, and the wheel just keeps on spinning.
And that's the real kicker here. The rat race is basically this endless cycle of trading your most valuable, non-renewable resource, your time, for money, just to keep paying for stuff. You work harder, you make more, and then you just spend more. It's a loop that never ends.
All right, so how in the world do you get off this hamster wheel? Well, Rich Dad's solution is brutally simple. It all boils down to one golden rule, one single concept that, once you really get it, changes your entire perspective. This is it. This is probably the most important lesson in the entire book. Forget what your accountant tells you, forget the complicated definitions. According to Rich Dad, an asset is simply anything that puts money into your pocket. Period. It generates income for you.
And the flip side, of course, is a liability. That's anything that takes money out of your pocket. It's that simple. It's not about what something is worth on paper. It's all about which way the cash is flowing. So this one simple principle creates three totally different money stories. For the poor, income comes in and goes right back out to expenses. For the middle class, they often buy liabilities that they think are assets, like a big house or a fancy car, which just creates more bills. But the rich, they focus on one thing and one thing only: buying true income-generating assets.
And this brings us to what is maybe Kiyosaki's most controversial statement, a question that really shakes the very foundation of the middle-class dream. Is your house an asset?
And in Rich Dad's world, the answer is a hard no. Unless it's a rental property that's putting more cash in your pocket each month than it's costing you in mortgage, taxes, and maintenance, your home is a liability. It's constantly taking money out of your pocket.
So, if you want to escape the rat race, your mission is to spend your life acquiring true assets. We're talking about things like rental properties that generate cash flow, stocks that pay dividends, businesses that can run without you needing to be there, and even intellectual property like books or patents. These are the real engines of wealth. Okay, so this focus on buying assets, it leads us right into the next crucial mindset shift. You have to learn to mind your own business. Kiyosaki makes a really important distinction here. Your profession is not your business. So let's say you're a banker. That's your profession. You're working to make the bank owner's business successful. Your business, on the other hand, is your asset column. It's that collection of income-generating things you're building for yourself on the side.
And the advice here is incredibly practical. He's not saying, go quit your job tomorrow. No way. You use your 9 to 5 to pay the bills and keep the lights on. But you have to use your 5 to 9, your nights, your weekends, to build your business, to start filling up that asset column.
Which brings us to the final and honestly the most profound lesson from Rich Dad Poor Dad. It turns out that the greatest financial tool you'll ever have isn't money, it isn't a stock tip, it's something you already have right now.
It all boils down to a simple, tiny shift in the words you use. Poor Dad's go-to phrase was always, "I can't afford it." And that's a statement, right? It's an answer that just shuts your brain down. But Rich Dad, he would ask a question instead. How can I afford it? See the difference? That simple change forces your mind to open up, to get creative, to start looking for solutions.
And this is the ultimate point of the entire book. The most powerful asset you will ever have is your mind. If you invest in your own financial education and train your mind to see opportunities where everyone else just sees roadblocks, you won't need to work for money. You'll learn how to make money work for you.
The core lesson here is all about making a radical shift. A shift from being just a passive wage earner to an active builder of an asset column that works for you. So that leaves all of us with one final crucial question to think about. What asset will you start building?